Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Hey everybody, it's Friday, the 8th of December, 2023, and we're back out here at Giga Texas. It's a little bit overcast, but it's not too bad with the temperature, so great day to fly. Now for the intro, just a few things that we're going to concentrate on today. First is on the south end where they're doing the building extension. You can see that more of the steel is being erected and it's growing farther and farther towards the west. And they've also been putting more of the steel on the upper floors. On this image, you can see the perimeter grade beam on the south end, which forms the bottom of the walls, has now completely gone over towards the west and is now starting the angled corner portion of this structure. So they're moving really quickly on the perimeter grade beam and also the footings. And we also see workers making more of the rebar cages for the footings as well. So things are moving pretty quickly. Across the highway at the West Support Facility, we take a look at the new area of excavation and the grade work that is going on the southwest side. As you can see here, a lot more of the gravel mix is being spread over that area. And also with this companion image, more of the dirt is being brought in and they're starting to fill up the other section. So eventually we may see this entire thing covered over. And we'll see if they do any construction here. Moving across to the east side, taking a look at the multi-level parking garage, we can see that it is now pretty much at 7 floors and it's at its top height. We can also see some of the work that is going on with the stairwell, and some new exterior walls are being put on. So we're kind of getting a sense of what the shape of the building will look like. Nearby, they're also doing more footing work as well, which continues to expand to the east so that they can fill out that entire construction zone. One last thing that I want to show you is right behind me here, up at the 4680 battery cell production area, where we've been documenting all of the construction that's going on the inside to expand the lines from the current approximately 4 to eventually 8 sometime in 2024. All of these crates that you see are more equipment that's related to the 4680 production cell area. So seeing these crates arrive is a great sign, which means that the bulk of the construction is completed, with a few things that they've got to work on, but now they're starting to install some of the equipment that'll be needed for that line. So great news. A lot more to see today, and we got a wide-ranging flight, so I hope you enjoy that. As always, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Good morning from the east side of Giga Texas. Looking back at the main factory, you can see most of the stain work is completed except for that northeast corner, which they are working on. We'll be starting here on the multi-level parking garage site. You can see more of the concrete panels, the double T's on the trailers at the bottom right. We can see more work with the steel corrugated pipe and the drainage system on the bottom left. And with this closer in view, we can get a good sense of the footing work, the concrete, and how this site is developing in this middle section where they will be expanding the structure. And speaking of which, the structure itself is also continuing to expand. It is at the final height. It looks like 7 floors will be the height, and that includes the ground floor. Also, it looks like more of the wall panels are being put in on the side here on the east side, and kind of gives us an idea that this structure is going to have a variety of different walls, shapes, and we'll see how that completes itself when it goes through the entire construction site. But this gives you a really good view, especially from this vantage point, of how it is continuing to develop. All of the various floors, some of which we saw in my previous video being put into place, and how the side of the multi-level parking garage facing the factory looks. There's also a stairwell that's being installed here. You can get a good sense of that. And there is that open area between the stairwell and the rest of the structure. I'm not sure if they're going to be filling that in or what the plan is, but this is a really good view just to give you an idea of how this multi-level parking garage is beginning to take shape. Plus a lot of the activity on the east side of the building, as you can tell, and more of the materials, some of the equipment, a lot of the trailers that are used for recycling of the stamping excess on the left as well. And as we continue to fly towards the south, it gives a good view of this entire east side of the factory. We're kind of on the southeast now. You can see where the road, that intersection continues to go off to the right. That'll eventually connect over to that multi-level parking garage. I'm also going to give you a good view here from the south, looking across the construction site where the expansion of the building is underway. This gives you a good sense of the amount of the steel structure that has been assembled all the way up to the roof level, plus the expansion that is happening in the middle part of the site. So it looks like they're doing maybe, I don't know, 1/6 of the entire width at a time, building the structure up and then continuing to work towards the west. We also get a good view of River Road here at the bottom of the screen. This is what goes under the south bridge and connects over to the west warehouse on wheels. I am pulling back and I'm going to kind of maneuver the drone down. I wanted to show you the work that is going on here next to the bridge. Now, if you recall, several months ago, there was a permit that had to do with requesting Austin Energy to move a guy wire so that they could do some work on the Giga water loop, and there was some really, I don't know, questionable coverage that was done on some of the social media and mainstream media about that, thinking that it was some new project. It's really just a part of the existing water management system. They needed to do this work here, but there was a guy wire in the way of this excavation. Now that that guy wire has been relocated, the crews are able to continue the work here to do some repairs and modifications to that underground water management system. So it's great to see that that work is now underway. Now here's an interesting sight. You'll see two Cybertrucks showing up here at this intersection. Obviously this wasn't planned. It was pretty neat to see them arrive. So as we fly along River Road, we'll kind of follow along behind these two Cybertrucks as well. Now, it's hard to tell for sure. It looks like there are license plates on these, so these may be the security vehicles. I don't know if, and I'm not sure if these are brand new vehicles or not, but you can see how they continue to drive over towards that intersection and then head up to the north. While we're here, take a look at all of the steel that is continuing to be staged here on this part of the factory, and this is all being used to build this entire steel structure. Here's a good view of the glass panels, how the steel is being continued to be added to this structure for the roof and the, at least for now, the second floor, and also the perimeter grade beam as it goes along the angled corner and then along the south. Here's a good close-in view of the extension now that is well underway. In my previous video, we saw the first of the columns being placed. Now they have an additional 5 columns installed to this point. So I think we'll see this portion of the steel structure completed, and then they'll continue to move towards the left of the screen. See more work of the perimeter grade beam on the bottom with some of the form work and some of the workers. The workers give you a good sense of the height of this perimeter grade beam, and it's probably close to 2 meters tall, maybe 1.8 meters tall. Here's more of the steel that's getting ready to be lifted up by the crane and installed onto the structure. Looks like right now they may be just finishing up with one of those new columns. You can see those kind of the joiner bands on the top of the columns. That's so that they can add the next layer of columns, very similar to what we saw in the other part of the steel structure. As I continue to fly over this angled corner, we're right above the stamping machine section. I'm going to put the drone's camera down and give you a good view of how this corner section continues to develop. We can see those white pipes for some of the plumbing that was originally installed. Also the kind of a grade beam that's been installed as well. And on the bottom, you can see how they're doing some earthwork and preparing that particular section. But an overall good view here of that steel structure and how it continues to transform. Bring the drone down lower to give you a good sense of the work that is continuing with the footings, also the column bases that arise above the ground about 1.8 meters or so. You see more of the formwork for those column bases, the perimeter grade beam on the left, and also more of the work to begin excavation for footings. As I maneuver the drone around, what I wanted to show you is on the bottom center, the perimeter grade beam has now reached the angled corner and is starting to proceed up towards the northwest. They're also working on the footings that will fit out this particular area, and the crews are making more of the rebar cages here. These are what goes into the excavations for the footings and provide that strength for the concrete to flow around and make those footings. They're also done on top of the continuous flight auger piers, so it makes a very strong base for the columns that will support the structure. As we move in closer here, we can see the crews working on that yellow panel. Also, if you look inside the bottom left-hand door, you can see a Cybertruck. This is currently the exit point for the end of line for the Cybertrucks. So right now, as the work is going on in that panel, we're not seeing many of the Cybertrucks come out at that point right now. But we'll be continuing to monitor to see how that may change over time. And as I pull back, there's a good view of the overall south end, how it looks, and how we're already starting to do this angled corner of this part of the construction site. So let's cross over the highway and we'll resume the narration on the other side. We'll take a look at all of the facilities, all of the activity that are going on here. But first, we'll start flying over the West Warehouse on Wheels. I want to give you a good view of the earthwork and all of the gravel that is being placed on this new site that has had all of the grade work done. And as you can see, it's just to the west of this existing triangular parking lot that's used for all of the contractors. There's a lot of buses here as well. Some people have asked, do they do carpooling or shuttle buses from offsite here? And the answer is yes, and those vehicles are some of that. As I told you, they have a lot of the gravel that's going in on this side, more of the final work on the grade a little bit farther to the west. And then on this section, we see dirt being brought back in, most likely from that excavation site to the north that we talked about in a few videos ago. And it looks like this entire section is being developed as well. So ultimately, I think that pond will be removed and we'll see an entire section maybe for some construction. As I turn back towards the material staging yard, we get a good sense of the materials that are here. Also, to some extent, especially on the side closest to us, it's been clearing out to a degree, which is kind of neat to see. The bottom right is all the windows that were removed from the south end of the factory. On the left, we can see some of the superchargers. There's another batch of those, and we'll see those closely soon. And this is going to be making up an approximately 96 supercharger station by the new end-of-line building. These blue wrapped items with some of the white plastic items, I'm still not 100% sure what these are. I've had some viewers think that these may be smaller stamping presses. It's hard to say for sure, but something I'll continue to monitor as time goes on. The TKS paint system trailer is still here, but almost all of the modular paint systems now have been moved and installed inside on the second floor of the body in white on the east side of the main factory. We can see earthwork being done here just south of where the paving has been installed for part of that new outbound lot. And as I continue to maneuver the drone over the west warehouse on wheels, it's a good view of the end of line and the new outbound lot. Also on the south side of that building is where they're going to be constructing that covered supercharger station, again with about 96 superchargers. Possibly we'll see some mega chargers for the semi as well. Some new trailers have just been delivered, as we saw with that forklift. More of the materials in this fenced off yard on the left, and we get a good sense of a lot of the work being done on those concrete vaults on the right with all of the conduit. Now this extends up to the north side, and then we'll see that they are connecting the conduits and wires now that go underneath the highway through that horizontally drilled bore. And these pipes sticking up, I still believe that they are the bases, or will be the basis for the columns that will support the covered supercharger section. Some more of those concrete vaults with a lot of that conduit kind of bundled together, coming in with some of that red concrete mix on top, and that's just giving us a good indication that the conduit installation there is coming close to an end, and we'll start seeing that section filled back in. And again, a good view of where that covered awning for the superchargers would be. As we fly to the north along the west side of the end of line, good view of the work that's being done on the HVAC ducts and the concrete slabs where that equipment will be. Also more of the trench work that is underway here, and how this side continues to be developed and prepared for this structure to become operational very soon. Some of the blue pipes are very clearly obvious in the trenches, and gives you a good sense of how that water system is being installed. Now on the north end, there's a lot of developments, and I'll give you some good views here. You can see those green transformer boxes on the left. We can see those concrete vaults, the red covered concrete filled section of the conduit. You can see how it's branching out here near these concrete vaults. And then next to that red excavator, we see where that horizontally drilled pipe and the smaller conduit that was pulled through that pipe itself has been uncovered. They've actually cut off a section. You can see that in the top part of the screen. But this is how the electrical wires are going to come from the main factory under the highway and then connect into this vault system. It'll be directed partially on the left-hand side of the main building, as you can see, down to those larger vaults we saw earlier, and of course across the north face, so that it can help power not only the facility but the lighting in the outbound lot as well. So as I turn around here looking to the north, we can also see more grade work that is underway here just north of the end of line structure. So I'm going to stay on this side of the highway. We're going to fly up to the north, and we'll take a look at some of the activity, some of the changes that are happening in this part of the site. First of all, we fly over these tents. We can see some of those offices for some of the contractors and some of the containers and other material that are stored here. The road that goes north to the south has still not been developed on this part, but you can get a good sense where those power lines are of how that road is going to proceed, and it will connect to Tesla Road, which is where we see the vehicles just ahead. A lot of the steel parts here are being used for that south side extension of the building, and there is a lot remaining here, so we'll continue to see this move down to the south and installed. The Tesla Road expansion to the intersection for Farm to Market 973 is getting its paving. So soon this will be 4 lanes, and that will help with the traffic flow, and it will continue this widening of Tesla Road all the way to that intersection, all the way under the North Bridge, past the north side of Giga Texas and over to the east side. So here's a good view of all of that steel, all of the materials being stored here, and in the distance where we just flew from, and just a good idea of where all of this is located. So now that we're on the north end of the factory, let's get ready to cross over the highway again. We'll resume the narration, and I want to show you the developments here at the 4680 battery cell production section. And as I mentioned in the intro, we've got these deliveries of these large crated items. Here's a good zoom in. Also the bridge cranes that were delivered on my previous video, they're waiting to be installed. On the left, you can see the bridgecrane.com vehicles. They're getting ready to do the installation of that bridge crane. And just exiting, we see a yard truck with some of the steel items coming out of that door. I think these are just excess panels that are being removed as most of that steel work inside has been completed. Here's more of those wooden crates. I'll try to zoom in so you get a view of some of the markings that are on these. We've seen lots of these, dozens and dozens of these being brought to this part of the factory over the last several months, and it looks like that's going to continue now that most of the expansion work on the inside is completed. So let's continue to fly along the north face of the factory, passing where the paint shop is located with these two lower platforms. And I want to bring the drone up to give you a good view of the ventilation system that's being installed. This is for the casting machine area, and you can get a good sense of the ducted fans, the ducts themselves, the openings into the roof, and how this installation is continuing. Now, I've had several viewers that have some knowledge about how systems like this have been installed in previous projects that they are aware of, and they think that maybe these ducted fans, those large steel ducts, and maybe some filtration systems, this is where the air is actually inlet into the casting machine structure, and then it exits on the east side with all of the ventilation shafts that they replace the windows with. So that is definitely a possibility. On the bottom right, you can see where the conduit has been installed that is now powering the factory. And I wanted to give you a good view here of the castings, some of them in the rack mounts, some of them on the ground. A lot of the ones in the rack mounts, I believe, are Model Ys. The ones on the ground here are for Cybertruck. These have been milled and machined, but they still look like almost all of them are rear castings. These are also rear castings for the Cybertruck, and that may be related to what we'll see in the outbound lot very soon. So let me reposition the drone here farther to the north, and I want to show you this new construction project. It's another walkway, and this will have two exit points on the right-hand side of the screen near the parking lot. Then it'll cross over this road, and there'll be like a walking path in between these crepe myrtle trees that were relocated from the east side earlier on this year. But this is a good view of that new construction project. And as I turn back to the northeast corner of the casting machine structure, you can see the knockout crews putting the plastic on the windows. They've done most of the pressure washing now of the concrete, and they're getting ready to apply the last section of the white stain onto the building. So let's reposition and take a look at what's going on in the outbound lot today. For today, we see 5 Cybertrucks, a lot of Model Ys, and I'll fly around the outbound lot so you get a good sense of the activity. Lots of trucks picking up Model Ys and moving them off-site, most likely up to the Taylor rail yard. But as I bring the drone down in closer, this gives you a good view. I'll zoom in and you can see what the Cybertrucks look like. Only 5 today. The one on the right looks, and maybe the second one on the middle section, they look more new. They don't have a lot of the wiper marks or some of the mud or debris, so those may have just arrived. The other ones have been here for a few days, but only 5. I was kind of hoping to see by now, since we're a week out from the Cybertruck delivery day, that we would see more Cybertrucks. There's another one just passing underneath. We also will see a few more on the superchargers here. So it's really difficult for me to give you any kind of indication of what maybe the production rates might be or might not be. I just don't think that it's as high as we were hoping at this point in time. Maybe the castings and the fact that we only see rears is playing into it, or maybe they're building them, they're storing them inside and moving them off-site while I'm not here. But I'll keep watching, and maybe we'll start getting some better ideas next week of what is happening. All of these Cybertrucks that we see by the helicopter pad, I believe, are the release candidate versions. And we also see a Model Y just came out of the Rainmaker. And next to the wind tunnel, we see another Cybertruck. There's some employees that got out. You can see them walking over by that green trailer, which is a generator. And it looks like maybe there's some work that's going to be happening here at this wind tunnel soon. Or maybe they're preparing to move it over to the west side in that new end-of-line facility. So let's fly up over the east side warehouse on wheels, and let's take a look at some of the sites on this part of the construction area today. A lot of new developments today. We'll come back and take a look at the alleyway between the two structures shortly. But there's a good view of the west side of the die shop. Still waiting for the glass to be installed in that corner section on the ground. But as I bring the drone down and lower, a couple of things in that open door on the right. We've seen a lot of concrete being removed for reconfiguration of the slab. We see those white generators, another truck bringing or taking off some of the equipment from this area. And then on this north side, we see the shops, the workshops, a lot of the materials, everything is clearing out now. And it looks like they may be preparing to start doing more of the grade work in this middle section where you can see where they've previously done it with that lighter color mix. They also have geotextile membrane there. And a lot of the steel corrugated pipes are being installed now, so we're seeing less and less of them. This is a good view of this north end. You can see those concrete vaults, some of them rectangular, some of them circular in the left-hand side of the screen. That's where the lift station for the treated or sewer water will be operational here, and let that be functional. On the north side of the cathode building, we see those lights flashing. Those receiving docks are operational, and trailers are offloading equipment inside. This northeast area where a lot of the materials have been staged, it actually looks to me like it's clearing out less and less materials, more and more of the dirt that's being stockpiled in this section. I'm going to fly farther away to the east just to give you a different view of the east side of the cathode structure. First of all, we can see that large pond with that green seed mix and the filtration system in the base of the pond. On the left, lower left, we can see the outfall channel that is the main drain for that pond. We can see workers completing the concrete outfall channel, or actually infall channel, into that pond by those containers. And a much larger section of the asphalt has been installed, and it looks like they're starting to do some of the red marking painting part of this, and with those concrete dividers as well. As we fly along the east side, we can see the wade pit on the left. There's some water, but I think that's just residual from rains. See that work into the middle part of the pond, and also just how much less materials are now here on this east side. It's definitely clearing out as they install more and more. A good view of the crash test facility and how it looks with some of the vehicles nearby. The filtration system at the bottom of the pond as we fly over that. And then here we see some rebar work for another outfall channel. And here is more of the rebar work for the infall channel that would be part of the fill of this pond. Here's another good look at this part of the crash test facility. Again, more Cybertrucks, more vehicles under the covers. And as I pull away, it's a good view overall of this entire east side and how it continues to develop and also clear out as they have less and less material on the outside as more has been on the inside installed. I want to bring the drone down here in the middle between the two structures. We see a lot of the concrete work has been completed. More of it is underway right now. In fact, at the bottom of the screen, the concrete goes all the way across. and they're preparing with some of the rebar next to these concrete vaults to do the same. We see some more conduit is being worked on at the moment. Of course, the active concrete pour that is going on the left-hand side of the screen, more of the pipes and work with the various tanks that are on that side. And then this is a good view of the nitrogen tanks, the vaporizers, some of the smaller tanks, those two large stainless steel tanks, the manifold system that they are installing in that section between the vaporizers and those stainless steel tanks. Also, the work that is continuing on the roof section of the chiller plant. Looks like 3 of the Evapco fan units are operational this morning. And as I turn the drone around here, I'll look down and just give you a good view of how this looks from the top down. And it looks like on the left, most of that work with those pipes, heat exchangers, and pumps is nearing completion, which is obviously great to see. So that brings us to a close of what we will see on the site today. I hope that you enjoyed the concentrated views on the east side multi-level parking garage, the south side extension, and the west side as well, plus some of the other views here near the cathode structure. As always, thank you very much for your support. I hope you have a great weekend and take care.